So we are now finally getting to discuss animal behavior, which is really fascinating. And we've discussed populations and communities and ecosystems. And now we're going to talk about how all of those interactions can actually make sense with how the animals interact themselves. And I love this quote by Borges. There's no act that is not the coordination of an infinite series of causes and the source of an infinite series of effects, which is wonderful. It's beautiful. If you think about it as a human, and you think about it as an animal. And we're going to talk about that. So what is behavior? I mean, you have to define everything, right? What is behavior? Behavior is everything an animal does, and it includes how it does it. And so animals respond to the stimuli in its environment. This is how you know you're an animal, because I'm sure that there's something going on right now in your environment and you are responding to it. Maybe it's chilly and you've bundled up, or a family member has asked what that noise is in your room and you've said, don't worry, it's just Miss Aber again. Behavior can be innate. And when we say it's innate, we mean that it's inherited and it is instinctive. So we have some innate behaviors as humans. For instance, babies cry. They cry coming right out. That is innate. Nobody was taught how to do that. They are automatic. They are consistent. There's a really cute picture of some kittens nursing the mother cat. Then there's learned behavior. That's something you're doing right now, right? You're learning. Learned behavior, it's inherited. The ability to learn is inherited, but that behavior develops during the animal's lifetime. So, for instance, walking, your ability to learn how to walk is inherited, but you didn't just like pop out ready to, go for a stroll. You need to learn how to walk. That learned behavior is variable and flexible, so that can change with your experience and with your environment. So depending on your need for walking and how much you walk, you might walk earlier, you might be a better walker, something like that. So why should we study animal behavior besides it being pretty interesting? The evolutionary perspective, it is part of your phenotype as an animal, what behaviors you display. And behaviors are acted upon by natural selection. You'll display different behaviors depending on your environment. Okay, so you can change your behaviors to be better fit for your environment. Can lead to greater fitness, can lead to greater survival, which can lead to greater reproductive success. Okay, here you see lots of different examples of animals with different behaviors that could hopefully lead to greater reproductive success. You have hunting, you have taking care of young, here you have group work, you have using tools, and you have, again, feeding the young. So we have two questions that we can ask when we're looking at a behavior. One is the proximate cause of a behavior, and the other is the ultimate cause of a behavior. So these are the two questions that we're looking at when we're looking at any behavior. The proximate cause of a behavior, this is the immediate stimulus that caused that behavior and the mechanism behind that behavior. So when a bird's singing, I want to figure out why. Well, what is triggering that singing? Sorry, I said why. Ignore that. What is triggering the male songbird? And how does he sing? Physiologically, what's going on? So proximate causes are the how and the what questions. So what made this dude start singing? And what inside of him allows him to sing? Does he have vocal cords? What's going on there? The ultimate cause questions there are the evolutionary significance behind his singing. How does his behavior, how does this singing contribute to his survival? And more importantly, his reproduction. What's the fitness behind this? What's his adaptive value? So we say that the ultimate cause is the why question. So why does he sing? Okay. Here we have two cranes, and this is courtship behavior. They're courting each other in this picture here. It's kind of a beautiful picture. So the what and the how, those are the proximate causes, right? So what's causing them to court each other? How do they court each other? And then the why is the ultimate cause. Evolutionarily, why are they courting each other? They court each other in the springtime. And how the question is, the proximate question would be, how does day length influence breeding? Maybe temperature as well. So there's a change in day length, and how does it influence breeding? Physiologically, does it change the hormones, allow them to start mating then? And the question is, why do they breed in the spring? Why not summer? Why not fall? Why not winter? Or why not any time of year? That's the difference. See how there's two categories of questions we can ask about a behavior. So here's your first study guide question. Yay! So the first part of this question is, what is the difference between the proximate and the ultimate cause of a behavior? And then I want you to answer, what is the proximate cause of you reading, watching, listening to this PowerPoint? And then what is the ultimate cause of you reading, watching, listening to this PowerPoint? Write it down. Why not? Moving on. So more about the evolutionary perspective of behaviors is there's some kind of adaptive advantage to behaviors. In innate behaviors, we have these automatic, fixed, built-in behaviors, right? These are things that just come out of us. Babies crying, nursing. You don't learn those. Those just happen. Okay, there's no learning curve. Do we know what a learning curve is? A learning curve is when it takes a little while to learn something, right? It takes a little bit, and then all of a sudden you get it, and you're good to go. That's what we call the learning curve. So despite different environments, all individuals, all species, all individuals of the same species exhibit the same behavior. So all human babies cry, right? So some example of these innate behaviors: early survival, reproduction, kinesis, and taxis, which I'll explain what those two are in the next slide. These are all innate behaviors, and there's probably some adaptive advantage to having these innate behaviors be there. Oh, what about learned behaviors? There might be some adaptive advantage to having learned behaviors. They're modified by experience. Hopefully you learn by your experience. Something horrible happens whenever you walk out on the street naked. So hopefully you won't walk out on the street naked again. Modified by experience. You learned your lesson. Your behaviors are variable. These learned behaviors are variable. They're changeable, right? You learn and you change. And they're flexible with a complex and changing environment. Let's say all of a sudden it's the cool thing and the safe thing to do to walk out naked on the street. Well, okay. It's a changing world. So let's talk about some innate behaviors that we have observed in different organisms. One type of innate behavior is a fixed action pattern. It can sometimes be shown abbreviated by FAP, F-A-P. Fixed action patterns are a sequence of behaviors that are really just unchangeable. And once they've been triggered, they are conducted from start to finish. So once the stimuli triggers this behavior, the behavior is completed. So there is what's called a sign stimulus that triggers the FAP, and then it has to be finished. So the first example that I'm going to talk to you about is the male stickleback fish. And the male stickleback fish is this ugly looking thing here. And the male stickleback has the red underside, the red belly, and they are very aggressive territorial-wise. They like to have their territory, and they like to be only male in that territory. The female stickleback looks like this. It's grayish-green body and has a swollen silver belly. They have such a fixed action pattern. When they see a red belly, a red underside, they will attack it. Even if it looks like this, like this, like this, or like this, they attack each one of these things. And they court anything that has a silvery gray swollen belly. So they court something that looks like this. They don't attack the clay model that looks like this, even though it looks exactly like the male stickleback. The only thing that's missing is the red underside. And as soon as it sees the red underside, it attacks it. Does not matter if all of a sudden it goes, oh crap, I don't think, this looks like maybe it's not a male stickleback, it will continue on with its action. That is a fixed action pattern. The proximate cause is that sign stimulus of the red underbelly. And the ultimate cause is that by chasing away the other male sticklebacks, the male will increase his chance to make sure his sperm gets hit into eggs. Right? Some other examples of fixed action patterns is an example of the digger wasp. I particularly like this example. So the digger wasp has his little nest here underground in the tunnel, and he will bring prey just to the edge of his nest. And then what he'll do is he'll go down into his tunnel to kind of tidy up. You know, he doesn't want to bring his prey, his dead prey, into his messy home. So he goes and tidies up, and he'll come back out and bring his prey back down and feast. And what scientists have found is that the act of tidying up is a fixed action pattern, and the dead prey next to the home, next to the tunnel, is the sign stimulus. So once the digger wasp has the prey next to the tunnel, that starts a fixed action pattern that says, I need to go clean my house, comes back out to bring it back in. How they know this is that they, the digger wasp will bring the prey to the tunnel, go down to clean up, and when they come back out, the scientists have removed the prey from the tunnel. And they'll go look around, and they'll have dragged it out a bit, and they'll go and bring it back. The digger wasp will bring back the prey to the tunnel. Then go, oh, now there's prey in front of my tunnel. I need to go back down and make sure my house is tidy. And they'll go back down, tidy up their tunnel. When they're tidying up their tunnel, guess what the scientists do? Yep, move the prey away from the tunnel. The digger wasp will come out. Oh, where's my prey? Prey is far away. So they'll go back, drag the prey. So it's the close proximity of the prey to their nest that tells them they need to go down and clean it up. Mean scientists, isn't it? Apparently, humans also have a fixed action pattern. It's called the eyebrow flash. And apparently you can see it in this picture here. That when we are smiling and kind of making that like baby face at a young infant, our eyebrows also raise up. It's something that we can't control, and once we start doing it, we can't stop it. So you can see in this young lady, her eyebrows are being raised. Egg rolling in geese is a perfect example. If an egg is out of the nest, a goose will use its beak to roll it back into the nest. And even if you're a mean scientist like that guy right there, see, this is the egg rolling it back to the nest. In this example, the scientist moves out of the way. The goose will still make the motions with its beak to move the egg back into its nest. A lot of the science experiments in animal behavior just sound a little mean, kind of teasing. So that's a fixed action pattern. Your second study guide question, in your own words, what is a fixed action pattern? And tell me, is it an innate or learned behavior? So another type of innate behavior are direct movements. They can be taxis or kinesis.